It's not just radio, it's Rockland World Radio. RocklandWorldRadio.com.
Heard on Rockland World Radio every Tuesday evening at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to check out the archives of past programs, which you can access via the menu bar. And now the host of Dialogues with Dan, Dan Windheim.
It's Richard. Hi, everyone. This is Dan. Hope everyone's great. And tonight, I'm joined by two great guests. I'm speaking with Rhonda D'Auria and her daughter Gina D'Auria. And Gina is a young woman living with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. I'd like to introduce Gina D'Auria. Hi, Gina.
Hi, Dan.
Great to meet you. Glad you could be here. You also, Rhonda.
Hi, Dan. Good to see you again.
Yes, you also. Rhonda and I went to high school together, and, well, tonight's interview is about rheumatoid arthritis, which Gina has been dealing with for many years. Maybe, Gina, you could tell us about when you were diagnosed and what rheumatoid arthritis is.
When I was 7 years old, I woke up Christmas morning and my knee was about swollen to the size of a grapefruit. And so we kind of realized that there was something wrong, and there was all like these different like things, and then they finally figured out I had juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, which is an autoimmune disease, which is the inflammation of the joints, which I happen to have it in my knees, ankles, wrists, and fingers.
Yes, and maybe you could share what in life has been difficult. What has been difficult?
What challenges me with the arthritis is I can not be able to write one day in class and need notes printed out for me. I might not be able to run the mile or something, or just like things that would involve like a lot of physical action with like walking or writing.
Yes, and these episodes, so to speak, they flare up every, few days, or how often?
I usually just have like tolerable pain like every now and then, but I will get bad flare-ups starting actually like around this time of the year in like June. It's really the warm weather that affects me, which is very odd because usually the cold weather affects people with arthritis.
Sure. And what in your life is no problem? It's easy. Like walking to the bathroom, take a shower, or walking across the room won't be difficult.
I never let my arthritis stop me from doing anything. It can make some things difficult depending on the days, but I usually always push through it because I never like being a person that's dependent, and I've grown very like understanding of it, and I know what I can do and what I can't do.
Sure. And do you have maybe exercises, maybe to make things easier or stretched out or whatever?
Yeah, stretching is always good. It's always better to be very active with the disease because it gets your joints moving and it gets the fluid moving. So if you stay in bed all day, it's just going to get worse. So that's why I've always stayed very active with it.
Yes. And you do take medication.
Yeah, I have experience with different medications, but I'm on a medication now that helps me out a lot, and I'm responding well to it.
Yes, and what's the name of it?
It's Plaquenil, I think.
And what does it actually do?
It's just an anti-inflammatory. I had taken other anti-inflammatories, but I reacted differently to all of them, and this one is finally just...
Yes. Would, say, Advil also be effective?
Yeah, when I get flare-ups and stuff, like the medicine that I take, Plaquenil, is a daily medication. But when I get flare-ups, I do take like Tylenol on top of it to help me like immediately with the pain.
I see. And maybe you could speak about your family. Like who's in your family and how do you deal, you have a good relationship?
Yeah, I have 4 siblings, and 2 of them are my sisters and 2 of them are my brothers. And they all are always very understanding of what I had, and I have a good relationship with all of them.
So there are never moments where you might argue or fight. Families do that.
Well, yeah, like sibling rivalry
Right.
and stuff like that. Yeah, especially with my little brother. We get into it a lot.
Really?
Sometimes it gets physical.
Yes, but maybe your siblings don't make fun of you at times, saying, "Oh, what, your ankle's bothering you? Oh, boo-hoo."
I don't think I've ever had to experience that with my siblings, thankfully. They're
No.
understanding of that, but
Teach you
yeah.
everything else.
Yeah. Everything else but that.
Oh, what about chores? When mom or dad says, "All right, kids, go rake leaves," and Gina says, "Oh,
Yeah, I do that.
my RA is,
Yeah.
my ankle's hurt."
My mom
She
will
does
always
that.
be like, someone take out the garbage or something, and I have
Yeah.
a long driveway and it's uphill, so I'm like, I have arthritis, you can go do that,
Oh,
Vincent, who's
do
my
you?
little brother.
She does say that quite often.
Oh, yeah?
She does.
But do you fall for it?
Not usually, unless it is something that I really
Well, I can usually
feel
get my
really
little brother
bad.
to believe me on it.
Yes, that's a good thing. And I guess you've basically grown up with this, so you've lived your life with it, so it's part of you.
Yeah, like, I'm still surprised that, like, some of my friends don't even know I had it, because, like, I've always had it, but I guess they don't know because it's just something I always have, so I'm always not, like, saying something about it or, like, vocalizing about it. But I guess that's just me growing up with it, like you said.
Yes. And, were you going to say something? No? I imagine people who are born with an injury or disability, they don't know anything
You don't know
else.
what's different, yeah.
And you, Gina, you really don't know anything different. So, someone who's injured later in life, they have to adapt.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not the same.
No, I don't think so.
Yes,
I think she's just used to her body feeling the way it feels.
right.
Yeah.
So there's good and bad in most everything. So Gina, maybe you could share what groups you have been part of over the years.
When I was diagnosed with arthritis, I was a dancer, and I had been for a very long time. And then eventually I just kind of grew out of it. Like, I wasn't really clicking to it. And then I started swimming, but I always, like, had a thing for, like, ice skating, like figure skating. So I started doing that, and then I just stopped swimming, and that's what I've been doing for about, like, the past 4 or 5 years is figure skating.
Yes. And you were first diagnosed at 7?
Yes.
And did you go to any, you didn't really get involved with other people dealing with RA at that time?
At first, I don't think I was really, like, involved, but then my cousin had got diagnosed with it about a year after I did, And so I started getting into it more, and then I started going to a camp in Central Jersey where I actually have made some very good friends through that know exactly what I'm going through and going through the
Yes.
same problems as me because they also have
Camp Chat,
arthritis.
tell 'em what it means.
Yeah, it's Camp Chat. It means children have arthritis too. And it's just a week at a sleepaway camp, and I can spend it with good friends that I've made over the years. And
That
we'll-
all have the same
Yes.
illness.
And I imagine at this camp, people's abilities range from, do they have maybe wheelchair users? They do.
Yeah, there's it's not like everybody has to do the same thing. It's what you can do, and everything is based around on what you can do. Like, they're not going to make you do something that you obviously can't do. Like, it's a very understanding camp, and it's really good because they do like a lot of other things with like different like foundations and stuff.
So it's people or kids of all abilities or levels of RA.
Yeah, just the 1 week
All
is the
suffering
children
from
of
the same thing.
arthritis. Yeah.
Yes.
Plus you do the capabilities. program
And
as well.
at my middle school, I talk about arthritis to the middle schoolers, along with a few other people that suffer from different things like dyslexia or something.
Yes. And maybe what sort of reaction have you received?
When I used to receive the whole, "Oh, my grandma has arthritis. Why do you have that? That's an old people's disease. You don't have that." And that's like probably one of the things that like almost bugged me, because I did get involved and I did meet other kids that like are exactly like me that have the same thing, and I'm like, no, it's not just your grandparents that are getting this. Like, a toddler can get this.
Yes. And that brings me a few weeks ago. I interviewed a gentleman who has RA, and he wrote this book called So Young by Daniel Melito, and I'd like to loan this book to Eugenia. So Young by Daniel Melito. Dan deals with rheumatoid arthritis, and this book he explains his life in dealing with the situation, and people who are listening could go to soyoung.com, I think, and maybe read about Dan's experience. And Gina, maybe you could benefit from this book.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. I
Looking
hope.
forward to reading it. Yeah.
Yes, excellent. So, going back to our talk, I'd like to ask Rhonda, right there, maybe you could speak about the impact on a family dealing with maybe a child who has RA or a disability.
Well, like we had talked about earlier, when Gina was first diagnosed, we were not sure. Originally, the doctors thought when they first took a look at her knee, they thought, oh, right away, this is Lyme disease. We thought maybe an injury. We had gone from blood work, which ruled out the Lyme disease, to an orthopedist, thinking maybe it was an injury, put her in a leg brace. Tried several different things, and finally they referred us to her rheumatologist over at Westchester Medical. When we saw her, she immediately noticed not only her knee, which was very, very large, but she noticed her fingers. And my husband and I were, looking at her little hand, saying,
Yes.
how come we never noticed this before? We looked at her fingers, which were misshapen, and, kind of felt, how could we have missed this,
Yes.
But I guess the doctor some of the things were subtle, but the doctor was able to, point them out to us. And so it started sort of a process of tests to rule out other illnesses. Some illnesses which were, really scary to think about. So when we got the diagnosis of juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, we were, I have to say, a bit relieved because of what it could have been. So I think overall at first we weren't like, oh my gosh, Gina has, possibly a lifelong disability or an illness that we're gonna deal with. The first reaction was relief, I have to say, because the relief that it wasn't something, far worse, was good for us. So I think in the way that we found out about it was
A blessing.
It was a blessing, yeah.
Exactly.
And so it just sort of started a round of medications that she had some reactions to immediately until we found one that, would work for her. And it's actually taken several years to get her on that path.
Sure.
But so, yeah, this is where we're at, and we hope for one day, we hope for her to be in complete remission.
Excellent.
It is possible, so.
So there's no actual test for RA?
There actually
Is there?
is. There are certain markers in the blood that do pinpoint it. There's inflammation markers and I guess SED rate and C-reactive proteins and all different types of things, which Gina has tested negative for, which is not unusual for her type of arthritis.
Right.
It doesn't. They can't. I guess her diagnosis was a diagnosis by exclusion of the other illnesses that would do this.
Yes.
So that's how she was diagnosed.
I see. And you were talking about the impact on a family. I mean, you have 5 kids?
I have 5 children.
And 5 children, not kids.
Well, no,
And-
actually, half of them are adults right now.
Oh, and I guess who do you, you must have to attend to Gina more at times than others, the other kids or children.
I think possibly in the beginning, because I was so worried about her, and because in the very beginning when she was first diagnosed, she was in probably the worst flare because she was, medication free. So
Yeah.
I think maybe that was true in the beginning. If I do say so, Gina's kind of, she rolls with the punches, and she, even when she is in pain, she doesn't keep her, doesn't keep her down for too long. There have been flares that she's been in where, I remember one in particular where I think she stayed in bed for maybe 3 or 4 days.
Right.
So during those times, yes. But for the most part, she's kind of get up and go.
Oh, excellent.
She is.
Yes, and do you find that your family, friends, they've been supportive, they've offered help if Gina needs a ride somewhere and you're doing something with other children and they would help out?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely blessed with a great support team with my as far as my friends are concerned. We're really lucky in that respect. So yeah, I probably couldn't have done, well, maybe everything without them. Not
Excellent.
just with Gina, but yeah.
And I imagine your husband also has been a big role in this.
Absolutely. We're a really busy household.
Yes.
There's a lot of activities going on, not just with Gina, who skates competitively, but with my son, who's very busy too. So we're usually running in, running out. Yeah, I don't know how people do it. No, one.
Exactly.
But it's definitely everybody needs to chip in.
Yes. So I guess there's no time to be disabled or sick or hurt. You have to live life, right?
Well, yeah, we do.
Yeah, my family usually pushes through things like that.
Yeah, that's great news. So, Rhonda,
Mm-hmm.
what would you say is out there for someone who might be hurt or with RA, injured, or are there groups?
Yeah, I've gotten we've gotten just so much support through the Arthritis Foundation. not only for, as Gina had mentioned earlier, that she goes to camp for 5
Yes.
days every summer. That's been great for her with, I mean, they've taught them everything from how to give yourself a shot if you were, in that type of situation, to, just the information that they've given them about their illness. We're also involved in the arthritis, the Hudson Valley Arthritis Walk every year, which Gina raises funds for. This year, she's the 2014 Young Adult Honoree. Also, the October Fund is, it's a foundation that was formed by a family of a child who was diagnosed with arthritis in October, so named the
Yes.
October Fund. And what they do is they give financial support to children with arthritis to keep them involved in activities that keep them going, whether it be art or horseback riding or gymnastics. And in Gina's case, it's her ice skating. And they give financial assistance to continue to do those things. So yeah, I've been just, I don't think I could have asked for any more as far as,
Yes.
support, which is why we walk every year to give back.
Excellent.
So.
And maybe, Gina, you could speak about the walk that's coming up, that you're the Grand Marshal.
Yeah, the walk I do is at Thomasville Memorial Park, which is in Orange County. And this year I'm lucky enough to be the youth honoree, which means that I'm just advocating a lot for it. And my story is put up in the Arthritis Foundation for the region that the Arthritis Foundation that I'm in is under. And I'm raising money for it, and I'm advocating and getting the word out there, especially about what I say, that it's not an old people's
Yes.
disease.
Hence, So Young,
Yeah.
the name of the book. So Young. Yes, you said this fundraiser is run by the Arthritis Federation,
Foundation.
Foundation.
Yes.
and their website is
We don't have it on us right
no.
You can, the website, you can probably just Google
You
it.
can go to the walk is actually this Saturday at Thomasville Memorial Park in Montgomery, New York, in Orange County. Registration begins at 8:30. The walk begins at 10. There's 2 courses. There's a 3-mile and there's a 1-mile, because these folks
It is a
have
walk for
arthritis.
people with
Yeah.
arthritis.
And so it's a great event. There's all kinds of information there. There's different vendors and whatnot. Gina does have a fundraising goal. We have not met that yet, but we're working really hard. We've got another 4 days to do that. And anybody who's interested in donating or just finding out information or just coming to walk to support anyone can go to they can Google Hudson Valley Arthritis Walk 2014.
Excellent. And Gina's goal, what was it, 5,000?
Our goal is 5,000. We're probably about $1,000 shy of that.
Yeah,
but
we're about
working
the-
hard.
Yes.
Yeah, we've done various things
We've
to raise
had a-
money, like standing outside grocery stores while it's 30 degrees.
Yeah. So we're working towards it.
Yes. Yeah, Rhonda, how do you feel? Well, I know you've touched on this, how this whole situation has affected Gina.
I honestly think that it's probably made Gina a more understanding person. I think that it's given her just a different outlook on people and disabilities and what your capabilities are.
Yes.
I think she's more sympathetic than a lot of girls her age, and
Yes.
she's been lucky to have the support of her friends also.
Yeah, Rhonda, I think you're reading my notes.
Really?
Because I said, has this strengthened Gina? And yes, it has. Has it made her more compassionate? Yes, it
If you
has.
knew my eyesight, you'd know I wasn't having it.
Has it made her wiser? Yes, it has. And how about the future? What do you see, maybe for Gina?
Well, I'm really hoping that we've attempted a couple of times her coming off of medication to see how she'll do. It's not been possible yet to go without it, but I think that maybe in the future, in the near future, she'll be able to come off of her medication and be in complete remission. So,
That's a great thing.
yeah.
And Gina, how do you envision your future?
Well, pretty much what my mom said. I did have one phase of remission for about 4 short months, but hopefully in the future I see myself not being dependent on medication and being tolerable of whatever gets thrown my way.
So during that time, were you like, wow, all right, I don't need the meds?
Yeah,
and you just went with it?
Yeah, I was actually pain-free for about 6 months, maybe. Before my doctor had told me I was in remission, I was pain-free for a period of time before that. Mm-hmm. But then it came back and it was pretty bad.
Oh. So, doctors always say, all right, here's the meds. Take it all of it through. Even if you feel better, keep taking it until it's finished. Mm-hmm. So you don't say, if you feel better, stop taking it.
Well, I've always been told that even if I'm feeling great, I'm still supposed to take my medication because it's something with you just gotta keep taking it because if you're feeling good, you want to eventually feel like that because that's what the medicine's doing.
Exactly. That's why you feel good. It's working. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think my producer's gonna be back any minute. Richard Quinn will be here. But this has been a great interview. And maybe you could mention again the name about the fundraiser and the website one last time.
Okay, sure. Yeah, it's the 2014 Hudson Valley Arthritis Walk. Walk for a Cure is what their slogan is this year. It's at Thomas Bill Memorial Park in Montgomery, New York. 8:30 a.m.'s registration this Saturday, and we'd love to have anyone come on up and take a walk with us.
Even me.
And even your dog. They have a dog walk and a dog park.
There's a dog
Great.
park.
There's
Really
vendors.
adjacent
There's food. There's all kinds of.
Excellent. Well, Rhonda,
It was
thank
good to
you.
see you. Thank you very
And
much.
Gina,
Thank you.
you shared some excellent information, and I wish you continue feeling better.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thanks.
Well, everyone, you're welcome. Well, everyone, thanks for joining me. Dialogues with Dan. Peace.
It's not just radio, it's Rockland World Radio. RocklandWorldRadio.com.